Hi guys, my name is Nelson Vallin. I'm from Miami. I like to perform stand-up comedy, and I also have a background in finance and retail banking. So the other day I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was telling me that whenever they go out, he's a fireman by the way, whenever they go out to a high-rise, they don't know, they have a lot of knowledge gaps. They don't know where the FDC connection is, where the sprinkler shutoff is, where the building management information, a lockbox, and I'll explain why all those pieces of information are important. So I couldn't believe him, so I was like, the city's got to have it, or at least there's got to be a company that does this. So I go in a crazy YouTube, Google, search for a few hours, and I find out that, yeah, there's a lot of companies that focus on fire and rescue. In Miami, we do fire and rescue. Rescue is when someone calls an ambulance for a heart attack, a broken ankle, a stroke, but no one's focusing on fire issues. So when a fireman goes to a building, they have a lot of knowledge gaps that currently no one's fulfilling. So I think of so right now it's automated property data. So all this exists in a paperwork form. So the city of Miami has this, but they haven't digitized it. So it's locked up in a cabinet and firemen don't have access to it even though it already exists. So I have this crazy idea where I'm like, I see an opportunity. Why not create a platform that gives firemen this access to this information that already exists, but it's just in paperwork? So why is this important? If the firemen know where to go and how to get to the building, it'll save more lives, have a faster response time, and create less property damage. So I start calling every fireman I know. I go on my Facebook, my Instagram, I start DMing friends, I start calling, hey, you remember me from 10 years ago? Hey, can you talk to me for a few minutes? So I get 38 surveys. From the surveys, I find out that the sprinkler shutoff is important, the fire hydrants are very important, and the layout of the building is something they would all like to know. I get surveys from all over the country and some from Europe. I interview over 30 firefighters, 6 stations, and 4 departments. What that really means is I drove all over Miami to get information. Every time I went to a station, I had a captain explain to me, hey, this is what a sprinkler shutoff valve is. Hey, this is what an FDC connection is. Why is this important? Sometimes they were scared to talk to me, but I was like, hey, let me speak to your captain, let me speak to your lieutenant. I didn't take no for an answer. So some of a quote that I got is, right now we don't have access to the building information. Sometimes the more experienced guys know, but if not, we have to just figure it out. And I was like, no, there's a better way. So I figured out what their so I created an infinity diagram to figure out what their pain points are, what their habits are. So what are they doing currently? They do a building inspection once a month, but that's not enough to train all the firemen to understand their territory, to get familiar with their territory. So some success metrics would be saving more lives, quick response times, and firefighters understanding the layout of the building. So this is Frustrated Francisco. He's a 30-year-old captain. The reason I picked the captain is because he's the one who's delegating the task when there's a fire, and depending on the level of fire, there could be up to 18 to 30 firemen. And he's the one that needs to have the knowledge because he's sending out the task. The rest of the guys don't have time to be looking at a screen. They're putting on their suits and they're executing tasks. So I could show you my journey map, or I could tell you about it. So I went on a ride-along with the city of Miami. They have about 90 seconds to get out of building. But while they're driving to building, it's about 4 to 6 minutes of a response time. They're not doing anything in those 4 to 6 minutes. That's a perfect opportunity to show them these pieces of information. And that's where I would like to implement my idea. So can anyone tell me where the FDC connection is, or what they would connect to a fire valve, like basically to an engine? I can't either. This is the point of view from a sidewalk in the middle of the day. Imagine seeing this at 3 in the morning. So that's the FDC connection, and that's what it looks like. Why is that important? That's what firemen connect their engines to. A lockbox is like a skeleton key to the building, and if they don't have it, they have to break down doors. Currently, that day that I went on a ride-along, they didn't have the right key, and they didn't have a code to get in the building. So if there would have been a fire, they would have had to break down doors, had to gone up the elevators and break down a residence's door. So that's creating property damage. And that could be simplified by updating some information. A sprinkler shutoff valve, why is that important? Well, each sprinkler head shoots out 30 gallons of water per minute. There can be up to 3 sprinkler heads per room. So that's 90 gallons of water. So it's imperative for them to know where the shutoff valve is in a building. It's often divided by even and odd floors will have different stairwells. So one stairwell will have the odd floors, one will have the even. So that's wasting time. If there's floors getting flooded, that's creating mildew and property damage. This is my Moscow method. My must-haves, could-haves, and should-haves. I need to have a layout of the building. I need to know where the lockbox location is, where the standpipes are. These are my must-have features. So this is my mood board. I wanted to create something that was trustworthy, easy, efficient, knowledgeable, able to solve a problem. My style tile, I chose blue because of high visibility, safe, secure. 95% of my users are male, so there's a colorblind issue. Blue, there's no colorblind issue. So this is my lo-fi. What I found out testing out my lo-fi with my users was, hey, they don't go by north, south, west, east. They go by Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. What does that mean? Their alpha always has to be at the bottom because that's their access point. And the pieces of information that I started off with, the sprinkler shutoff, fire hydrant, standpipe, blockbox, building staff. I went to my mid-fi. Half of my users use the nav bar, which is here on the left where you see all the icons. The other half wanted to touch the icon. So for the next iteration, I wanted to be able for them to use the icons to navigate the screen. Also, they said that they needed to know where the fire pump is. So based on my user testing, I had an 87% completion regardless of age. It took 2 times longer if a captain was over the age of 40 versus if they were between 35 and under. Habits are, half of them use the nav bar, half of them would like to use the screen. So what did I do? I added an icon navigation, which basically means you hit that little guy running up the stairs and the screen will change and it'll get highlighted. The nav bar, you click on that and that icon will get highlighted so they know what they're looking for. And I also created a Fire Buddy logo, which is the name of my app. This is my user flow. And now I'm going to show you a little demo of how my app works. So I asked them, hey, can you show me where the FDC connection is? And in relation to the building where it's at, they were to point out to it, and they understood that it was outside the building but a little bit connected. Another task that I gave them was, if there was a fire on the 11th floor, where would the sprinkler shutoff be? Well, since this is the sprinkler shutoff, there's 2 sprinkler shutoffs, one on the northeast, one on the southeast. And I asked if it's on the 11th floor, they clicked on odd floors, so it highlighted, hey, it's on the southeast corner for the odd floors. And if you needed to look for building staff, who would you call and what's their position? Yeah. So my next steps is to add an edit feature. A lot of the captains asked, hey, sometimes the alpha side changes and we want to be able to change it. Add icons that everyone is able to understand. As far as a business point of view is digitize all that information. That will be my second project. Create a library and a database so I can partner up with a dev so I can plug in the information. And then finally, have a proof of concept so I can work with one station, figure out all the bugs, and then scale it up so I can provide these services to the city. I want to give a special thanks to the City of Miami Fire Department. And of course, Station 4, the Pride of Brickell. They're the station that I worked with the most heavily with. And thank you for listening. I hope my idea wasn't as crazy as my hair. You can find me on LinkedIn. Thank you.